Okay. Welcome. Thank you for coming. I know Friday nights are really hard, but with the dance, hopefully, if you have a 7th or 8th grader, you just drop them off and then come in here, and hopefully you have plans in about an hour to go do something more fun than this. But here we go. So I'm Scott Clacontini, the Assistant Director of Instructional Technology at the middle school. These talks are meant to, throughout the year, give you different insights into what are your kids doing with tech at school, what are they doing at home, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what's normal and inappropriate, and also give you tools on how to guide your kids through this kind of digital transitions that they're making. And a lot of times it's parents can have apprehension, and I want to be there to help you should you have any questions about using technology. So first thing, what's new? Start off with a homework calendar. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I just walked through a couple of things with some parents. It's working itself out. What I have here is kind of like a current snapshot of what students are seeing. Right now, the monthly view is probably the most useful. You can see there are still some issues with assignment overlap, but for the most part, the calendar has gotten to the point where students and teachers can easily assign things and look at things. The student dashboard is very, very useful. If you look at the actual student dashboard, students can look up their schedules. They can see what their schedule is at any date into the future. They can see what their courses they're taking. It's really meant to kind of give students a place to go to see what their homework is and kind of keep track and organize their daily schedule. So as it builds out this year, I think we'll see that this becomes a very, very useful tool. And as we go, we have such a small group. We can ask questions as we go, or if you want to ask at the end, we can do that. I don't think we have such a large audience that we'll have to wait for questions at the end. But let's talk about laptops. So the laptop program is a 3-year program, and I get lots of questions about this program. The way it's structured right now is we charge $635 a year, and I'm just giving the 6th grade and 7th grade prices because they're the ones with MacBook Pros and ThinkPads that are higher priced than the 8th grade machines were. So $635 in the first year, $635 in the second year, and $635 in the third year. In 8th grade, you'll see that broken up. We will charge you $100 less in the fall, and then charge you $100 plus tax in the spring of 8th grade, and that is because that's required for tax purposes to transfer ownership. We have to charge a realistic price for the machine. So you assume ownership. It usually comes around May 1st is the ownership fee, and the laptop is yours. So these fees, you are purchasing the laptop. It's not a rental. You don't have to give it back. It is, at the end of the 3rd year, you own the machine. Now, I'll go over all of that. So, the total cost is $1,905. Just on an average, you can take about $1,200 off of that, which is the price of the laptop brand new. In 6th grade, we buy brand new laptops, and they all are about equal as far as performance. It's always difficult when Apple releases a new MacBook Pro and it's got this great built-in, brand new display, and the display drives the price up. So what we do on the Windows side is we'll beef it up with memory or something else. So they are very comparable in price. Performance-wise, they are about the same. And so what you're getting is over 3 years, you're also getting insurance on the laptop. And that's part of our repair policy. You get 2 free major repairs, and then And those are significant repairs. We're talking about cracked screens, broken motherboards, replacing optical drives, batteries, things that are, the battery on the Mac side is the most expensive because it's internal and you cannot touch it. Tech service, we have Monday through Friday, 7:30 in the morning until 5 p.m. available tech support. We have a loaner pool, so you're also contributing to being able to provide loaners to any student whose computer breaks. We can just hand them another computer, and it's going to be functioning and have the same software that their other laptop had, and there's, you know, virtually no downtime between them having a problem and being able to resume their work. And then you're also paying for software licensing fees. All the applications that we put on the laptops are educational licenses. So you're paying a portion of the license fees every year. The two major repairs that are included are significant. So what we see on average is at the end of 8th grade, most students have only had one major repair. Some students have had two, and it's reasonable enough to say, hey, enough of them have two major repairs that we'll include those two, and very few students cross over the 3, 4, and 5 repair boundary. I think we have maybe one student a year who gets into the 5, 6, 7, 8. Basically, I think we've had only one student who bought 3 laptops over the course of their 3 years. But it is not common to drop into the 3rd, 4th, or 5th repair, is what I'm trying to get at. The ownership portion, it is your laptop at the end, and laptops have a expected lifespan of 3 to 5 years. And again, that depends on the level of use that they receive. Many of our staff can have a 5-year-old laptop that is perfectly fine. Many of our students can have a 3-year-old laptop that looks like it's been around for 10 years. So it's really going to be based on your child as far as how long that laptop lives. We will return it to the condition it was in when it was purchased, which does mean that even though Apple releases a new operating system every year, we will return it to the operating system that was on it when we purchased it. So if you have a 6th grader this year, they will be returned to Mountain Lion. So whether we go to, Aardvark and whatever other animal we have by 8th grade, we will bring it back to its original operating system. All of the software, we are going to include all of the free software that we use, and then we have to take off the educationally licensed software. And so this is kind of my goal at the middle school, is to try to replace the applications that are driving a lot of our costs. Right now we've got Microsoft and Adobe that just have humongous fees to use their products. And so I'm constantly looking for alternatives and looking for ways to take those out to reduce the burden on us and on you. And this year looks pretty good. There's quite a few applications that are basically showing promise as replacements. Every year we kind of open up the personalization of the laptop. It used to be the laptop had to be exactly the way it was when it was issued and could never change, and we've loosened that up a little bit. Students can basically add covers, they can add stickers. We've just announced you can have your own laptop case, as long as it's providing an ample amount of protection. And it's kind of a system of kind of transferring that idea of ownership over to the student. If they feel like it's theirs, they will be more responsible. The kids who swing their laptops around and smash it into the poles as they're walking down the hallway, maybe they won't do that as much when they have this sense of responsibility and ownership of their device. And we have seen significant drops in the amount of repairs every year. I don't know if it's because the MacBook Pro is just so much cooler looking that they don't want to break it, or if it's actually working. They feel like it's theirs because they have a little more freedom to decorate it and make it their own. So what are some of the services? New this year, we removed their network folders. They no longer have a Harker server user folder. For years, we've been giving them a user folder, and we would give them remote access through the portal that they could FTP into, and they could back up all of their stuff on the server, and it would be safe there. And hardly any students ever used it, and then when their laptop crashed, they lost everything. So with Google's switch to Google Drive, and when they combined Gmail with actual Google Drive and combined the storage space to 30 gigabytes, that was our opportunity. So what we did was we got rid of all the student user folders. We synced up every student laptop to their Google Drive folder, and to the best of our ability, told students they need to save everything to that folder. So instead of saving to My Documents, save to the Google Drive folder, it automatically syncs to their cloud account, and they have it on their laptop, and they have it in the cloud. And it doesn't matter what they're saving. It can be anything. Pictures, Word documents, could be Google documents. It doesn't matter. It works like a hard drive. The idea there is if a student loses their laptop, it fails and they need a loaner, they can literally just get a loaner, sign into Google Drive, and then everything is there. They've lost nothing. So we have very few complaints that students have lost projects like we used to. Students are also using a huge amount of kind of cloud-based services. We have, IXL, Evernote, Dropbox, GameStar Mechanic. We have online courses on Athena. We use Explore Learning, Quizlet. Teachers are showing YouTube. So the amount of media and the amount of work that they do is increasingly moving online, which is good, but it is also the amount of work they're doing is increasing. The need for that tool, that laptop, is huge. They really need to have that device to be able to get access to all these really high-quality tools that are out there and being used in their classrooms. Do we have what? They have Dropbox already loaded on their computer. We do not purchase a school license. So Dropbox, as a free service, has 2 gigabytes of storage. You have Evernote, which is unlimited storage for life. And then we have Google Drive, which is 30 gigabytes for free. So as far as how much you can store where, Dropbox does not look very good when you have to pay in order to get even a 5 gigabyte account. I talked to them about having an educational license. They weren't interested. They're doing just fine with their business model. Evernote is actually slowly becoming more and more attractive. It's still not as succinct as Google is. The Google services are just seamless. You drop a file in, it saves. You can have 100 people all collaborating in the same document without a hiccup. And just nobody's really providing that other than them right now. Sure. So Athena, so here's why parents don't have access to Athena, is that under federal copyright laws, education gets this huge break. As long as the content is going out to students and is only being disseminated in an educational context, then you can get away with a lot of copyright infringement that would otherwise, you can't just give out stuff to the public. But if a teacher is giving it to a student, you can give it. So here's what we have, is we have all these teachers who are putting content into Athena 2, and as long as that information, if they scanned the textbook and put something in there, or if they scanned or recorded something off of YouTube that maybe they don't have permission for, but it's very educational, they have every right to do that under educational copyright. If you have access to Athena, then we are now providing that for free to the public. You are not an enrolled student, and then we get fined. So to give you an idea of profiling, how do we set up the laptops? 6th grade profiles are our most restrictive, and it's more restrictive on the Mac side than the Windows side, because Mac doesn't give you very many options to pick and choose services that you want to turn on or off. A lot of the Mac services are all or nothing. So on the 6th grade side, what we want to do is we want to lock down their use of the desktop space. We don't want them saving millions and millions of files on the desktop. We really want to teach them to put files into an organizational structure where they can get to it and they can trust it. So we really want to push them into saving to Google Drive. Save an English paper into your English folder in your Google Drive, not just save it to the desktop. So we block the desktop. And then we don't allow any installations or updates because all of the applications are imaged for grade levels over the summer, and it's been tested. That image works. If you update let's say an operating system update, you could then cause half of the applications to fail because those applications haven't updated to the new update. And so instead of giving our tech department the biggest headache in the world, having to troubleshoot 510 students, we're going to say, okay, no, if there is an update worth getting, we will arrange to have that update given to you. But typically the updates that come out, unless it's a huge security update, the updates are really insignificant. And if it is huge and we need to do it, then our tech department will come out and do that. But if we just opened it up to kids to install whatever they wanted, you have no idea what some of our students choose to install on their computers. And then they could take down the whole network. So if they took down half of the network, or somehow access other kids' computers and then ruin the educational day, what does that cost? That costs other families educational time because we allowed students the freedom to install and change their computer. And I'm giving you an extreme case, but I do have students come into my office who have to explain why they've developed Python programs to destroy Mac computers. And then their response is, well, because there aren't many Mac viruses, and I wanted to make one that worked. That was a 6th grader. So imagine what that student is going to be like in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th if there's no guidance and just a free-for-all. So we really want to lock them down and say, okay, this is the way you're supposed to use the computer, and all that other stuff you want to do is really great, but let's support that in a more controlled environment. I recommended to that family that they give the kid his own computer to hack away on, but unplug it from any source to the internet. I was like, don't plug that into your home network. Now in 7th grade, we try to open it up a little bit. We let them kind of pick their own organizational structure. On the Mac side, they can't do any installations or updates. On the Windows side, we open it up where they can update any application that is resident on the machine. They cannot install something new and update it. They can only update something that's already on the machine. We're looking for a Mac solution that's like that. Have not been able to find one. The information that we give them in classes is still, think about what you're working on, what application do you need to do to kind of accomplish this task, and how are you going to organize the work as you're developing it. And then in 8th grade, what we do is we leave them in 7th grade permission, and by the end of the first semester, we're hoping that they have demonstrated responsibility where we can then release them into kind of ownership mode or administrative mode, and we give them full access to their computer. Hoping that over the course of 2.5 years, they have learned to love their computer and will not try to destroy it or somebody else's computer. And it's been pretty successful. We've done that. We did that last year. We did it really close to the end of the year before, and students took to it really well. We also take it as an opportunity to teach them how to properly install applications. Basically, what students have figured out pretty quickly, and I know we have a student in here, but basically what they do is they figure out, since they're locked out of the computer, they figure out, how can I get around that? And some of them have been to some computer programming classes and are smart enough to go, oh, wait a minute, there are file folders on the computer that allow you to put things in there. And so we end up with a ton of tech problems when students come in and say, I don't know, my computer doesn't work right. And they find a whole bunch of like games installed inside of like the Adobe folder, which has a read-write access. And they try to install everything they can into there. And then it just messes up the whole computer. They go to the high school, and the high school has to spend a year untraining that behavior. They give students a list of programs that they need to have on their computer, and they spend a good 6 months trying to figure out why it's not working and why they've stuffed all the applications inside these read-write folders. So hopefully we can train them a little bit on that. You purchased, so basically the laptop fees that you pay are to buy the laptop in 6th grade. So that laptop and the condition it's in with the software that it has on it is what you will get at the end of 8th grade. We're constantly trying to figure out how, can we leave something as simple as like an OS upgrade? Can we leave that on there? And that's, we're working on it, but currently the decision that comes around is that we just, licensing-wise and just the way it's set up, we can't. If we could, I'm all for it. I recently just got them to agree to leave all the free software on there. So I'm constantly looking at ways to make it kind of a more beneficial situation for everybody. I get a lot of questions of, why is this laptop so overpowerful? Why this MacBook Pro in 6th grade? And why not something, a lot cheaper? Why not just a Chromebook? Why not just, an Acer or something with a lot less power? And we say that a lot in 6th grade. And then in 7th grade, we don't get a whole lot of comments. It's like the laptop's serving its purpose. But by 8th grade, the 3rd year in, almost every 8th grader and a lot of families will ask, why is this computer so slow? Why don't we have as fast of a computer as the 6th grade? And it's not that that laptop is any slower. That laptop is exactly as powerful as it was in 6th grade when you thought it was too powerful. It's just that every year, Apple comes out with an even faster processor. Lenovo's got an even better screen and an even faster thing. It's just, and if you keep this laptop for 5 years, imagine what that speed comparison is going to be 5 years from now. It's going to be abysmal. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it takes 2 seconds to load this machine. That's so long. But all of us sat around with the first computers and, started our computers and waited 15 minutes, went and got something to eat, came back, and our computer was on. But now, everything's just so fast. So, as we watch technology progress, I just want you to know that your kids are going to push these machines to the point where it will not be too powerful. It won't be strong enough. And so I'm going to show you a video that I put together as my Google certification application. And this was a snapshot within just a few hours of what our students are doing on their laptops.
is born.
So the idea behind that was to demonstrate that if we didn't have laptops and you sent your kids to school here and we asked them to do the level of work that we're asking them to do, they would be bored to tears. That is not the environment. The paper and pencil environment is not where they want to be. They want to be in this world. They want to collaborate with each other. They want to talk to people across the globe at the same time that they're doing work at school, and they can. And when we give them that opportunity, they become more passionate about what they're doing. And they're not doing it all the time, but when they do it, they realize, oh my gosh, there's this huge world out there, and I can do all this great stuff. And if we weren't giving them that opportunity, we would not be giving them any, we would not be doing them any services for being prepared for the world that's going to be out there when they graduate high school or go to college or anything like that. So I love this quote, and I've presented it before, and it's still true, that if you were to think about what your kid is going to be when they grow up, you would most likely be wrong. The idea that you would have any idea of what company they might work for, what software they might design, is probably so far from what will exist when they actually do it. We just have no idea. We've got to prepare them for something, but we have no idea what. You know, we don't know if one of our kids is going to build the next, teleportation device. Actually, Stanford's already working on that. We don't know if our kids are going to develop, time travel. Don't worry, Stanford's already working on that. So it's just mind-boggling. The jobs that all of you have didn't exist when you were in grade school. So it's no different for our kids. So we just need to remember that everything they are learning is, it's not that it is inconsequential, it's that we've got to teach them modern day tools so that they are just continuing to ramp up into what they will be doing. So what do they use it for? In the classroom, they're using it for communication. They're talking with their teachers are helping them. They're working with other students. They are collaborating. And the school really has needs for technology in the classroom. So how much tech is actually being used? So most of the classes are using technology in the classroom 50% of the week. So half of the school week is spent using technology of some kind, not just a laptop. It could be calculators or microscopes or anything like that. But technology is being used. And then there are other classes that use it every day, no matter what. My classes use it every day. It's computer class. We have to do that. Now, what about at home? How much should they really be using this computer at home? This is always a big question. So of all the classes that use technology, of the homework time that they assign, and again, like homework's supposed to be like 20 minutes per class a night, teachers expect that to be around 10 minutes of tech time. And then 10 minutes of like maybe reading or writing or reflecting in some other way. It doesn't have to involve technology. So if you take 5 academic classes at 10 minutes a pop, you have an hour of required technology time. Now, if your child is multitasking while trying to do that, you can take that number and multiply it by 5. So if your child is doing their online homework for math class while on their Facebook page and while chatting and while doing this and while doing that, you've now got a huge problem because human beings can't really multitask. We have focused, small amounts of really focused attention. And really the message I want to give you is that what we do at school also works at home. And what you do at home also works here at school. And so this is a two-way street. If there is something you're enforcing at home that you want us to try to enforce here, I'm all ears. I'll work with you. I'll get to the measuring, monitoring thing in just a minute, because it's a very accurate and very legitimate question. You're like, How do you stop them? You really can't, but I'll show you a couple of attempts that you can make. So now at school, what we're doing at school with technology is while they are here, and they spend a lot of time here, 7:30 in the morning till about 3:30 at the shortest amount of space usually. And while they're using technology, we have this system in place where there are teachers around, and we have a division head, and we have a dean of students, and everybody is helping to guide the student into proper behavior at school, proper use of technology, proper interrelationships with each other. And so the environment here is we are very kind of efficiently, because we have a ton of manpower, controlling this environment. That changes when you get home. You also don't have 509 kids, which is a good thing. But at home, it's really not that different. At home, you're teaching your kid good behaviors. You're role modeling for them. You're helping them to protect themselves and have good open relationships and communication. So you're not doing anything different at home than we do here at school. It's just sheer volume differences. So at school, we provide a nice controlled environment. Students go into a classroom where they sit and they are given basically controlled space. I highly recommend you give them a controlled environment for using their laptops at home. Their bedroom is not the best place. Kitchen tables, dining room tables, somewhere in the open is the best place for them to be using their laptop, so that you can just happen on by their screen and notice, wait, that's the same YouTube video you said was only 5 minutes an hour ago. What else is going on? And then you can get in there and see what they've got open and take that as a teachable moment as to why that 5-minute video is taking an hour to play. Supervision. We have students sit in arrangements, or we use software that allows us to supervise what is going on the laptops. You have that ability as well. I'll go over that later. But you can also, being in the same room with your kids while time does not always allow that, but by doing that whenever possible, even if you're working on your own stuff, makes all the difference in the world. Presence and the thought of supervision really deters a lot of kind of alternative behaviors in itself. Assistance, this has been the same forever, right? The teachers are right there in the classroom helping kids move through these applications, solve these problems, and you do the same. And you start scratching your head. It's like, you're like, I didn't do this when I was in middle school. So we all help as much as we can. And then there's specific activities. In a classroom environment, students are working on a specific assignment or task. They've got a project to work on, and the teacher is then going to monitor them in a controlled space, supervised, applying assistance and saying, okay, here is what you're supposed to be working on. Why are you not working on it? Or if they catch them doing something else, it's immediately corrected. And that could be done at home as well. And typically what's happening at home is, like in the picture above, you've got a kid who's got their hands in like 5 different applications. And so it's really kind of help your child. They are anywhere from 11 to 14 years old. You've got to teach them how to focus in on an assignment, or they will multitask to no end. So it's up to both of us to provide that structure. And really it's all about making this a two-way street. We're both going to teach them how to use technology in the way that we want them to. And while the two worlds might be a little different, we're going towards the same goal. We just want them to do it and become productive and do positive things with it, hopefully. Now, for those of us that don't have a ton of time to do all this supervising, I will recommend one software application. It's usually, people ask me, what software do you recommend? And there's tons of solutions out there. Net Nanny, hands down, is the most, I think, useful kind of supervision program that I have seen. It's recommended in the lower school, and it works really well with kind of the way we have set up the laptops and the way our network works. Basically, it's like a one-time install. You would go and purchase it. I think it's like $40, and you would then, with a parent account, load it onto the machine, and then you have web access. You have remote access to that. So even though we take away the parental account, you have parental control from another device, and it's web-based, and you get to set the strength of your supervision based on what it is you want to accomplish. And I just gave just kind of like a few features that they have. Is if all you really want to do is just set up a nice safe filter at home, you don't really want to like supervise and record their keystrokes and really manage their time. You just want to set up the home filter so that you know they're roaming safely. You can do that. Set it very low threshold. You can do that. If you want to dig in and control the hours of operation of the laptop and really record everywhere they go, and you want to read a report, and you want to have consequences and rewards for different things, you can do that too. So it's a really kind of versatile platform. You would want to install this yourself because you are going to set up the parent kind of account. So you would buy NetNanny, you install it, and then you're going to create your parent password that gives you control. You do. You would want to fill out a software request form and just say, I want to put NetNanny on the laptop. That gets approved real fast. It's tried, true. Our tech department knows exactly what it's for. And then we would just say, okay, come on in, and here's your account. Go. At the point that it gets approved, you could send the disk in, and we could install it for you, or we just give you the parent account and you install it yourself. It's very simple. You can, yeah, with this thing, you can go as far as setting up whitelists, blacklists. And what I really like is kind of the time management. So a lot of times with the multitasking and the taking forever on homework is because they really feel like you'll let them sit on that computer forever. And you know, I've got a kid at home who won't sit down and eat dinner, but as soon as I say you've got 3 minutes left, all of a sudden he's hungry. So it's kind of like if you say you've got to finish your homework by 8 p.m., I know you guys have a lot of kids who are like doing a lot of after school stuff. So if you say 8 p.m., that computer's going to shut down. You better be done with your homework. It'll only take a couple of times of them not being done for them to get organized pretty quick. So it can be whatever you want it to be. You've got a middle schooler who loves to push boundaries. They have no self-control. They're starting up relationships, not just the like best friend relationships. They've got lots of hormones, and you just don't know what to do with them. We can look at this a little different. They are curious. They are innovative in the ways that they get around your rules. They are determined to get around the things that you don't want them to do. And they are passionate beings, just like we are. They are passionate beings, and they will do things full bore if they really want to. And that's what's really awesome about middle school age kids. I encourage you to kind of keep that in mind, that your kids have a lot of really great ideas and some not so great ideas. They will do them all regardless. They're not going to think about it. But I kind of encourage you to applaud their enthusiasm while directing them in a more positive direction. And it really is a difference of, it's not that they're not listening and don't ever listen to anything you say. They heard you, they're just not doing it. and it's just a difference in our perspectives. So that's kind of what you're going to find in my talks, is that we're going to talk about what the kids are doing, what is appropriate for them to be doing, and I'm also hoping we'll get some counselor support to talk about, what is realistic for an adolescent to be doing. What's going on in their head to make them act like this? Because we don't always remember. But I like us to have kind of a dialogue that opens our perspectives on what our kids are doing. And it's not always about how can we shut them down, but how can we drive them in a positive direction without demotivating them. So thank you. I'll take whatever questions you have. The next events, the January 17th will be, I believe, on digital identity. So it kind of touches on social networking, chatting, those kinds of things that are going on, and what's appropriate, what to look out for. And that'll be at the Saratoga campus. I'll send out details. In March, we will talk about just really social networking, just really digging into social networking and what's going on, privacy settings that you need to be aware of. And it's right before spring break. And so that's a really good one to come to if you have a child who is on Facebook or Tumblr or anything, and you kind of want to get some guidance on that. And then at the end of the year in May, we talk about cyberbullying. So I hope you'll come to those. And do you have any questions?